Starting out, can you just tell me, with the second wave coming to the fore, how have you utilized this time to enhance the technological capabilities at IndiGo?
The initiatives, to be able to run our operations, to operate our flights, as well as in accordance with the government regulation and all that stuff, including your less touch or touchless kind of environment in which our customers and employees will have to operate, started around the first wave of COVID. And most of these initiatives, have been completed. Some new have been identified. And going forward, we are only strengthening ourselves so that when the traffic opens, when the operations are then, I would say, start at that level, we operate at that level of our capacity, that level of in terms of a number of flights, we are then more than ready. So if you would have seen what happened when the lockdown was lifted for aviation industry in May of last year, end of May, we quickly scaled up, and we have been, ahead of our other competitors in the market, and we have been doing reasonably well during that period. Of course, it started off with a 20% operating a 20% capacity, then operating at 40%, and so on and so forth. And we were, before the second wave hit us, we were at 80% of our capacity in terms of our operations. So now, of course, it is less, but we sincerely hope and we are aware that this is a kind of a temporary situation that we are in, and when we will be able to, when we are allowed to operate at full scale, we'll come back more strong.
What are the top 3 projects that you are most excited about implementing?
To us and avail of our services, it is very important that they have a reasonably good level of confidence that airports, aircrafts, handling, this is not a place where they will be more prone to infection than maybe a shopping mall or somewhere in a slightly more crowded space and this. So that is the level of confidence. And to give them that level of confidence, 2 things have to happen. Our services, our employees, who are basically the front-end employees, the customer, who man the customer touch points, or what I call them as, last mile employees, they also should feel safe while servicing their customers. So it's very important. And this is what we are doing. We are giving them tools. We are giving them technology, which they can use it from their mobile, own personal smartphones. As a result of which they can actually minimize interaction with a desktop or a laptop that is being used by more than one person. While in some cases that is unavoidable, but then, for example, in a check-in counter, but at the same time, we are requesting our passengers to do a remote check-in and all that stuff. So these are some of the initiatives. The other initiative also is on the data and analytics. So that in that case, what happens? See, what is happening now is that the historical data is of little relevance for ascertaining, doing any kind of forecasting. Okay. So as a result of which, some of the algorithms in our analytics had to be changed, had to undergo a change in logic in terms of referring to data which is more relevant to the current condition, which you do not have in big numbers. I mean, you don't have an 18-month or 20-month or 2 years of data, which is generally required for any kind of a proper forecasting. So those kind of algorithms had to be re-engineered. Now it's a smaller set of data, and also in terms of making the KPIs and the KRAs available to the senior management or leaders management levels, where they can actually see the data even at a more granular level.
There was news that you purchased new engines and in your Airbus 310. So how exactly, what are the technology implementations that need to go along with getting those new engines on board?
Vignesh, not give you a very detailed perspective. That's not my trade. So But what I can tell you is that be it engines, be it aircrafts, be it our avionics, these are primarily the three, four components, right? So you have the frame, you have the engines, and you have the avionics. Okay.
Mm.
All these undergo rapid technology advancement, and it has undergone a rapid technology advancement all throughout several decades, and more so now. We had this fly-by-wire concept and so on and so forth. The amount of data that you can download from these aircrafts on every aspect of the operation, is mind-boggling. It has gone up by more than 5 times, 6 times. So for us also to remain ahead in the curve, and how you can do that? One can do that by managing cost. One of the greatest contributors of cost is your fuel that you burn. Okay. If you can be, 10, 15, 20% more efficient, if the engines are more efficient, if the frames are lighter, if the avionics are much more, sensor oriented, and they can track and, monitor every aspect of the flight so that any challenges there, you can address it more proactively rather than reactively. All that contributes to your the cost reduction, the cost optimization. And that's what we are looking at.
How do you see the future of airlines? Is there a chance for it to become completely touchless? And how are you reducing the touch points?
So when we said 80%, 84% touchless, what we meant was that I would say, off-airport checking, let me use that term, off-airport checking, which could be, you could be using a mobile, which you could be using a web, whatever it is. But you basically check into a flight before you reach the airport. Once you reach the airport, the available facilities are typically your kiosk or your check-in counter. So we wanted to minimize that touch points. Okay. Unless you have a bag or something like that, which you have to drop. Otherwise, if you're just walking in and you just have a cabin baggage, you can just walk through. So that's what we meant. So initially, before this pandemic, actually, it used to hover between, I would say, 35 to 40%. It never went beyond 40%. But with the government mandate in terms of that people will have to do check-in even before they come to the airport, irrespective of the fact whether they have a bag or not a bag, okay, and they have to check in their bag also in the system, this had increased to somewhere between 85 to 90%, and it is keeping to that level, okay. So people have now got used to it. So this is as far as your check-in is concerned, more airline focused. Now on the airport focus, so where else do you actually interact more? When you enter the terminal, you have to interact with the CISF person, right? When you go through the security, you have to interact with the CISF person. When you go to the boarding gates, you have to interact with the airline person, and so on and so forth. So the government of India, including Airports Authority of India, Ministry of Civil Aviation, they have embarked on a project, they call it as DGA. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now the idea is that once one registers, on DigiYatra, that would be his permanent travel ID. So at the end stage, of course, there will be some intermediate stages, but at the end stage, it will be a number that will be, made available to you, and that's your own personal number, own personal ID, I would say. Number doesn't mean only digits. It could be a combination also. I do not know what is the combination, but that is something that you will use to identify you as Vignesh. Okay. And that should also give your profile, your personal profile, your travel profile, and whatever other profile which the security agencies would like to. So basis that you can more seamlessly walk into the terminal. Okay. More seamlessly walking through the security gates.
How are you utilizing IoT and AI within your solutions? How is it helping you?
IoT, we are using it to an extent for our crew attendants. So when she today doesn't have to go inside the base office to record her attendance. She can do it. I mean, she will be within that fencing, the GPS fencing, and she can do that herself from her own mobile phone. She doesn't have to go and stick out her finger and or stick out her, iCard and all that. Not required. So that's where we are using IoT. Okay, sensor. You can use IoT. One can really use IoT in different areas. While we have not done it, I'm not too sure whether we will do it in the foreseeable future. But I have seen airports and airlines doing that for their ground vehicles, identifying them, getting more information about their performance, about uh, the kind of how close it is to maintenance, and so on and so forth. There are different applications for that. The other area, which is across different verticals, not only for airlines, is AI. And we will use it. While a lot of work is going around in that, but we haven't actually implemented a solution which is totally based on that. We have not. We in certain areas where we have deployed systems in recent times, we would like more data to come out of it for us to actually do a meaningful analysis of the data and use that data to feed into an AI ML engine.